Well, good morning. Welcome to day 14 of our 99 days. I was just watching the streams and I've noticed that I kind of lost a few of you after day 5. Um, so day 5 it's quite nice. It's 9 days ago. Yeah. So there's still like an average of 20 people or 20 streams, I must say. Doesn't necessarily have to be 20 people following this, which is still pretty amazing. Happy with. But it's more important if you're happy with it. And obviously, it makes me curious to think why people are not following. And I know for some, they're honest and say, well, I'm just keep postponing it. And from others, I just don't know. So I'm just curious. Because if I would present, like I talked about yesterday, the happiness pill, like I can bring, a pill can bring someone straight into happiness. I think you could sell it for a lot of money. Or people would even to go through something to get that pill and to get rid of all what's holding them stuck in one moment. To have this pure awakening. But actively dealing with this, facing yourself, asking yourself questions like what it is that I'm doing, what's holding me stuck. And if nothing holds you stuck, if there's nothing in your life that you want to change, then there's honestly no point in following this. So it's only relevant if you do want to change something, even if it's a small thing. So what does it take for you to change? What do you need to make a change for yourself? Not for anyone else, just for yourself. So today, and I came strongly up this morning, I have 2 questions for you. One is like a challenge you can work with the next coming days, and I will go back to it in a couple of days. And I would like to ask you to write down any judgment you have on others that you are aware of. So really write down, and you can even group it in people you have different relationships, like you make around your family, or around your partner, or around some of your friends, or around your colleagues, or around your boss, or around politicians. You can take it as broad as you like, and just write down literally what you judge about them. I don't like that they don't have an opinion, or I don't like that they have a strong opinion, or I don't like that person because he's never kind, or I don't like that person because he's too fat, or I just notice when a person who drives by who is overweight, that I notice myself thinking, wow, that person is fat, he should do something. Or when someone is wearing clothes you don't really like, you think like, wow, that looks funny. Why does that person wear something like that? That's a judgment. Anything there is an opinion you have on someone else, and this is not about something, not about a thing or an idea or a belief system. It really is about a person. Anything that comes up. And make a second category, and that's any judgment you have about yourself. And I think you're more aware of that already, because we talked about our limiting beliefs and we explored what comes up when we have to take a challenge. And so that judgment there is, I think, more to the surface already. But now I would like you to write down, and this is really, really a very interesting exercise. And it requires a lot of honesty with yourself. Because it comes in so easily, so natural for us to express, not out loud, but inwardly, an opinion about someone else. Like, I don't like it that's always messy in the kitchen, because the other never cleans up. Or, well, there's so many things. We had the ones in traffic you judge. We had talked about gossiping, talking about other persons, sharing openly opinions about other persons. That's already judging. So anything, but be most aware of the silent ones, the one you don't express. And just write them down. You don't have to share them in the group. You don't have to share them with anyone. Don't, because I really like you to be really very honest with yourself. And dividing it in different groups just helps for yourself to become more clear later on when I get back to this subject. But you don't have to. And I named this live stream, I named Let's Stop Pretending. And the other challenge I have for you, and I did it myself this morning, just to feel how it works, is to share your truth. And I don't mean the capital truth like this universal truth or this knowing we talked about. No, I mean really the truth, like that what you actually feel about life, about your circumstance, about anything that comes up. And I did it this morning by just talking to myself and filming myself, making a video of myself on my iPhone. And I don't have to share this with anyone. You don't have to share this with anyone. Just talk out loud to yourself what you just don't like, or also what you do like, but especially things you don't like and you never express because you pretend to be this nice one, or you pretend to be this sweet one, or you pretend to be this perfect one. Just express anything that comes up. And I noticed that at first I was still like this civilized me, not really expressing myself. And it took a while before I opened up. And this is really not about to share with others. And obviously it will be a very valuable exercise to do this with your partner, but only if your relationship is on such a level that you can take what the other person say, not personal. And so I would not suggest to do this right now with your partner. So just do it to yourself. You can do it in front of the mirror. You don't have to tape it. I did it just to use that exercise. You can also write it down and then burn that paper. But just freely express what bothers you. Anything. Anger, frustration, jealousy, that it's not fair, or whatever it is. Or you're fed up with something, or you're so done with this, or whatever it is. Doesn't really matter. There's no right or wrong in this. But before you delete the video or before you burn the paper, just read through it or listen to it again. And just sense what happens when you read it again or listen to it again. And I've done it a few times before, and it's a very healing exercise, because in our society, we don't have the chance to express ourselves. We all pretend. We all want to fit in. And we cannot hear the truth from others. So if someone would say something nasty to me, I would take it personally, and I would feel bad about myself, but I also would feel bad about the person, and I would take it completely as a conflict, for instance, or as a judgment. And so it's really rare that we can express ourselves so openly. But you can see this expression as just a way to express all these inner held emotions that are still within. And for me, as I shared that I have often issues with my voice to express myself, it helped for me to say it out loud. And I said it to myself, looking at myself in the mirror, and I closed my eyes for a while, because it was too difficult to watch myself talking about that, because it said so much about where I was at that moment, or what was still in there within me. But while doing it, I could also sense it was such a release to express it. And suddenly I felt silent, because there was nothing more to express, and it felt really open and liberated. And of course, this is a practice you can repeat many times. And the way why we cannot express it to others is because we often put so much projection in our expression that we actually do want the other person to solve this. And that's why the other person cannot receive it. So that's why I want you to talk to yourself, because you are the one who's responsible to solve it. In a sense that you are the one who's responsible to release this. No one else can do that for you. No one in this world can make you happy. It's a myth to think that another person can make you happy. So trying to find a spot, a place, a moment where you can speak out loud, and if that's too scary, just write it down. But if you do want to speak out loud, try to find a moment where you can really hear yourself talking, and if anger comes up, you can express it angrily. So you can go into nature and just shout it out to the world. And if nothing comes up, fine. Just be okay with that. Because surrender into that you're okay with nothing comes up, opens up something. And if you're watching this video now, you think like, oh yes, sure, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Or now I don't have time, and then tomorrow comes, and then, oh, well, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, next week is, yeah, I'll put it in my calendar for next week. Watch what happens within. Watch if there's a contraction, like a fear, like this feeling of, oh, I don't want to do that. Which is completely understandable. Because if you've never done this before, it's pretty scary. Well, it was for me. It is easier for me to get in, to trigger a fight with someone, and then that I feel safe with. Quite an important thing. And then just to blur it out to that person. Because then I can project it on the other person. That feels easier, a lot easier. Can you imagine what would happen in the world if we could all just express this? Just release this energy. Because we're also holding each other's energy. This collective consciousness. And we keep all pretending, trying to fit in. And if we do speak up about something that feels like a truth to us, then we're judged for it. Some like it, but the ones that are reacting are mostly the ones that judge it. So it's really intriguing to me that it is so difficult to be honest with yourself. And when you become more aware of that process, and I'm not always honest in the moment, not every moment, definitely not. But I can now quite quickly reflect back like, I wasn't really honest there. I was hiding myself because I was afraid of the reaction, or I was afraid to show this thing I don't like about myself. And when you become more aware of honesty, then when people pretend something, you can feel this. You can feel like you say something, but it feels different. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel honest. And authenticity and honesty, it comes very close to me. It's kind of the same. Authenticity is more the expression, I would say, of honesty. Just that you don't pretend anything anymore. And you need skills for that, because we cannot be brutally honest here. I get that. And I've tried, and it doesn't work. And people ask you questions and they don't really want to hear the answer because they cannot deal with the truth. But they're still asking it. So they do want to know it. They do want to hear it somehow, but softly, with a lot of acknowledgement for where they are. So you need skills to express yourself in an honest way. You need also skills to open up to the other person, to feel where that person is. So your message comes across. And if you can't be subtle in expressing yourself, and it's really important in that moment, then ask that permission to the other person. Ask for a permission. Like, I need to express something, and I don't know how, but it's coming up so often now. Can you just be open to hear it? And then that opens up perhaps and hopefully a different level of conversation. And if that other person gets triggered by your comment, by your expression, then don't take don't take that reaction personal. Because something else underneath this needs to be seen or needs to be expressed. So if you want to do this exercise, relax into yourself a little bit before you do it. I would almost say just let it come up naturally without thinking. Just ask yourself a sentence like, I want to stop pretending, I want to express myself. And what would I like to express? Or I want to share my truth. What is my truth? Or I feel. Or ask your heart. What comes up if you want to express yourself? And don't judge yourself when you express yourself. It does come in. It does come in. Like, really, like this sentence, like, oh no, I'm too good for that. I cannot be jealous. I've outgrown that. That's something for teenagers. So the two exercises are not the same. And so the judgment is more, the first one I asked, is more like, and I think it's good to start with that one. To just become aware how and when you're judged. And the second, expressing your truth, is just more randomly, just expressing without thinking. Not towards a person. Don't think about the person. Don't think about the situation. Well, you can, but just see it as something like a throw up of what's within. Those for you who are familiar with the exercise of inquiry, this is not the exact same exercise. So inquiry is like you share with the other person while the other person is holding space for you, and you just share your desire or your desire mostly. And of course you can hold space for the other person and let the person express himself, but it's quite challenging if you're very closely related, because the other person must be able to express anything, even if it concerns you or the relationship or the fears around the relationship. And if you're able to really express it from a deep inner emotion, it can come out really harsh and unpolished. And if nothing comes up, or just a few things come up that are already familiar to you, that you know already about yourself, then open up to a deeper level. And then it might help to just think back of experience you didn't like, to just connect to certain emotions. And it's perfectly okay, of course, if you're not ready for this. But it would really help to be open to yourself, to these deeper layers, because it's so difficult to get to the core of the emotion, to the same level, the same depth as when you get triggered. When you get triggered, you immediately feel that emotion. It's like suddenly there. But you cannot actively ask for a trigger, because then the mind gets in the way and it's kind of designing this trigger. So this exercise is actually just triggering yourself on a deep level. And with such a freedom that you don't hurt anyone else. So you don't project, you do project, but no one is hearing it, and that's okay, because you really need to do this completely free. Because we're all pretending. All of us. Because it would be an interesting world if we wouldn't be pretending. We actually learn to pretend as a child. We learn to fit in. We learned not to be weird anymore. And for me at least, but I think for many people, the persons that you admire most, whether it's a celebrity or a successful person or someone that stood out in the past, are the persons that expressed themselves so openly, without complete freedom, without holding back, without pretending. I love movies where the lead role is the one that doesn't fit in and learns to and actually stays close to with themselves, but they're judged for it. And then obviously in the end of the movie, everybody loves that person because of that authenticity. And the fact that I like that a lot to watch, says a lot about me for not being authentic. And I was not for a very, very, very long time. Okay. I hope this is clear. If not, please, if you don't want to share, if you don't want to ask a question in a group about this, I can fully understand. So connect to me directly. If you have a question about one of these two exercises. But if you feel comfortable asking it in a group, please do. It helps. It helps others. And wish you all the luck with these two exercises. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice day.